Take a look, turn our attention now down to the border. What's going on down there? We have the Texas Department of Public Safety patrolling the area around Del Rio from the air.
So our special correspondent, Jason Jones, is along for the ride and joins us live. Jason.
We're flying today with the Texas Department of Public Safety's Aircraft Division. We're with pilots Rob Messenger and Matthew Rodriguez. We've been doing interdiction flights this morning for Operation Lone Star, and right now we've been requested to support some Texas Highway Patrolmen on the ground, along with Border Patrol, who are right now trying to locate 24 individuals on the ground below us. So it's a busy morning down here, but what's really interesting about this is this helicopter. I just kind of want to walk you through this for just a second. This helicopter of technologies and capabilities that really help the men and women on the ground of both local, state, and federal law enforcement. And if you talk to these pilots, what they'll tell you is that this is a force multiplier for them, because now, you know, they not only have day capability, night capability, but they're also able to use forward-looking infrared, which you've been seeing some of that on the screen up front. But then at the same time, at night out here, as you can see looking out these windows, we are in the middle of nowhere. You know, we're 40 miles from Del Rio, and this is an example of what you hear me talk about with the border all the time, about when you get away from South Texas, where it only takes minutes for people to cross or drugs and reach a stash house. Out here, it can take days. So 40 miles from the border, most likely the group that crossed here that they're trying to trace right now and locate, they probably crossed either yesterday or the day before. But that's why we're here. That's why we've been embedded with the Texas Department of Public Safety, try to illuminate the crimes against the state that are occurring. Because again, right now we are 40 miles into the state of Texas from the border, and supporting ground forces as, you know, you have a few troops along with Border Patrol agents trying to locate 24 people. Back to y'all.
Yeah, let me ask you, Jason. Yeah, I actually have been in the helicopter in Del Rio because I was a reporter in San Antonio, and there were some stories down on the border. So I know there's really nothing in that area. So when these gentlemen actually see somebody on the ground, do they communicate to border agents? This is where they are. That's where you can go pick them up. How does that work?
Yeah, it's a great point. So right now, you've got about, I think it's 5 to 6 officers on the ground, and they're doing what we call reading sign. That means they're reading footprints, following those individuals. And you have real-time communications right now between the pilot and the officers on the ground. And then what they're doing is they're getting out ahead of them a little ways. So that way, what this helicopter does, and this is really where it's a force multiplier when chasing suspects on the ground, it puts them and it gets them to stop. That way officers can now move in and try to make that apprehension. And at the same time, they're leveraging this technology to be able to use the forward-looking infrared, because even though it's daytime, forward-looking infrared helps tremendously to locate people hiding in the brush. And while it may look pretty simple from this, from this altitude, I can tell you, as we've been flying with these guys, it's amazing how well people can hide. And that's what this aircraft really provides by having the level of technology that they do.
Right, Jason. And I know during the time of the Trump administration, there was a big focus not only on building the wall, but making sure that there was investment into the technology needed in order to be able to track illegal immigrants that were coming over. Do you feel that the Texas Public Safety Department, are they receiving the support fund? Are they able to notice and see that they have that support from the federal government?
This one or that clump up there?
I lost the last part of that question. Flying up here, so I have
okay, Jason.
But I did hear you talking about the border wall. It's a great question. So the border wall here, there is part of it around the area of Del Rio, but when you get between the ports of entry, this is where the cartels, the alien smuggling organizations, and the different criminal underworld groups really operate. And you guys have heard me talk about for a long time on your shows that between the ports of entry is where the crime is. And Operation Lone Star, which is a $1.8 billion Texas-funded operation, is trying to secure those areas, because what has happened is because of the immigration crisis, and while that is an important issue and it's one layer, it doesn't have anything to do with all of the other crimes that are committed against the state. And so what this chopper and what the agents are doing and all of the surge of Texas Highway Patrolmen, Texas Rangers, aircraft, and others are doing down here is to try to hold that line between the ports, because as you've adjusted, as Border Patrol adjusted from the national security model to migrant care, they've got to process those people. And so as a result of that, it opens up the areas between the ports of entry, and all the drugs and the deadly drugs like fentanyl and other things surge across that border.
A lot coming over. Yeah.
Back to
Jason,
you guys.
we appreciate you taking us with you in that helicopter. Really a fascinating trip. We appreciate you bringing us up to date. Jason Jones, thank you, sir. And don't forget, you can watch more of this, the battle at the border, embedded with the Texas DPS. It's going to be tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, a special tonight, 8 p.m. on Stenchfield.